Look at that. Thank you, Lord. Okay, so yes, this will be recorded and I'll be emailing it out to you guys when we do finish. But for my supervisors, please make sure you guys are taking notes because you are responsible not just for you, but also for your team. Okay, and most of you guys know that, you know, quality is not just about you, but from the agent to the SA to the AD, it affects the entire upline. And for my ADs, I know there may be a lot of you guys here that have been an agency. Ooh, I don't know what I just did. That may have been an agency director for a really long time. You may have some new ADs that just got promoted. We had one new AD promotion this year. Whoop, whoop. So I know she's going to take away from a lot, but also for my ones that have been here for within the last 2 years. Dara is an awesome quality business agency director all around. And so to be able to get that perspective from her is going to be able to address you guys also. So I promise everything in here is for the agent, SA, and the agency director. Okay. It is now 12:06. So we are going to get started. Jacksonville, I hope you guys got everything situated and have plates and foods made and ready to go. So we are going to get started. Again, if you do feel like you missed the first part, it's okay because it is recorded. And I will send it out to you afterward along with this PowerPoint. So here we go, guys. Happy Friday. So quality business. So just so you guys know, there are 3 measurements of quality. The first is 3 measurements of quality. Let me list them out. Their first is DCN. Second is 4-month persistency. And third is 13th month persistency. DCN is the first one. Second is 4-month persistency. Third is the 13th month persistency. So with those 3 different measurements of quality, the first one that we're going to go over is DCN. And guys, I'm not going to do deep dives into DCN and persistency in detail like I usually do. I'm going to do a brief overview, but every other week we are going to be doing quality training on Friday at the same time until we've covered all aspects of it. And every other week when we do it, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and deeper into it. But I don't want this to be just a DCN persistency training. So from there, with those 3 measurements, the first one is DCN. And DCN stands for decline, cancellation, and not taken. Okay. And so what it's actually measuring, DCN, is it's measuring, did we get the business to the customer? Because for what we know, we sit down, we go over the application with the customer, and at that point in time in our computer, it's called an e-app, an application. So it's not essentially a policy yet. There's a process that application has to go through from the application. There's an underwriting process, and then it has to become issued to a policy. So that process of how did we get the business to the customer is what DCN is. And when we haven't fully gone through that entire process and policies issue and get paid, that's when it's called a DCN, decline, cancellations, and not taken. Declines and cancellations, a lot of that is more of your field underwriting that needs to take place. And we'll go over that when we go over proper enrollment, proper field underwriting. But the last one I want us to focus on, because it is primarily the worksite, is not taken. And that's the company never received any initial premium. They never received any initial premium, meaning that you guys have gone through the entire process, taken application, gone through the underwriting process, it's issued, boom. One of 2 things happen. Either the employees get removed off of the invoice, and we don't reach out to them to let them know they can keep their coverage, and we don't receive the first premium that way, or we lose entire worksite accounts, where the entire worksite account says, something happened, something's changed, we're canceling it, we're not paying anything, and that's also going to generate in the form of not taken. Okay, and so for DCN, the company DCN was 10% as of December 22. Guess where the Kennington agency stands? Woo woo. As of February 25th, quality report ran, our agency had an 8% DCN. So kudos to you guys. It's definitely just a team effort of people really focusing on it and making sure that our numbers are above and exceeding company average. Okay, so everybody should have a quality pay chart in front of them. The top portion is going to be the pay chart for DCN. The top pay chart for DCN. Okay, so when you are on DCN, your first 7 months in your career are going to be impacted by direct pay and bonus. So everybody be looking down at your quality pay chart. There's going to be 2 tables. The left side is going to be your direct pay chart, and your right side is going to be your bonus chart. And that's only the pay charts for DCN. So if you're within your first 7 months here, you want to be focusing on that top chart. If you're fresh on the agent, when you go from an agent to an SA, you have 2 different measurements of quality. You have a quality measurement for you as an agent, and you also have one for you as an SA. Okay, so when you go up and get promoted up, your quality clock starts over. So you will be starting over fresh first 7 months on DCN for every time you go up in your career track, and that will be measured on DCN. Okay, when you're on your first 2 months with us, your direct pay and bonus for your first 2 months are going to be 100% bonus and maximize direct pay. First 2 months, maximize direct pay and 100% bonus. So where new agents really kind of get caught in the challenge of everything is when their first 2 months, they really don't understand it. They don't understand what quality is, how it impacts their pay. So they're out there writing business for the first 2 months, and then boom, the 3rd month comes. And that's when the real quality report kicks in, and the quality actually starts impacting their direct pay and bonus. And now they're just starting to learn about it because either it negatively impacted them, or somebody's addressed something where it's going to potentially cause a quality challenge down the road. So I want to make sure that even though this may be foreign to you right now, your first week in the field, guys, there is no better time to be learning about quality than your very first week in the field. Okay, so with everybody looking at your pay chart, at that top portion, guys, I do want you guys to see, and I'm going to pull it up here. I have my pay chart here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so the first top portion, like I said, first 7 months, you are going to be on DCN. Direct pay is this left side. Bonus multiplier is on the right side. Okay, everybody to write this down. Our goal for DCN should be a 6% or less. When you're at a 6% DCN and your commission account is in the positive, you're going to receive maximum direct pay of 60%, and the remaining 40% goes into what's called your commission account. If you also notice, if you're at a 6% DCN, we just went over direct pay percentage. On the right side is what's called a bonus multiplier. The right side on the top chart, bonus multiplier. So 6% DCN and the bonus multiplier, you see you're actually getting 110% in bonus pay. So yes, Liberty National, guys, does pay you more to write quality business. If you're just average, right where the company is, or right where we are as an entire agency, well, we're at an 8, but 9 was, I think, 9 and 10 were their averages. But right here on the bonus chart, you see if you have a 9, you just get regular 100% bonus. Well, as an agency, we're at an 8. And so for my new agents that have an 8, they're getting 105% bonus. And you can see now the maximum you actually can get in a bonus multiplier is 120%. So for DCN, your goal should be a 6% or less. Okay, next is a second measurement of quality, and that's going to be your 4-month persistency. 4-month persistency. So 4-month persistency, what it's measuring is now that you got the business to the customer, did they keep it? Did they keep it? So it's measuring business that has issued and paid for at least 4 months or more. issued and paid 4 months or more. So we did talk about agents are measured on DCN their first how many months? 7 months. And 4-month persistency, they get measured on months 8 and beyond. First 7 months, DCN, 8 months and beyond, 4-month persistency. Okay, premium paid for 4 months or more. So I know a lot of us here, especially you guys that are newer, that are within your first 6 months in your career, when you guys first joined on, one of the biggest things you all, but me as well, that really drew me to this company was the fact that I can establish residual income for me and my families the longer that I'm here. I was working for a company before. I was just getting an hourly pay, and my pay may have increased maybe like 15 cents, 20 cents every 1 to 2 years if I was even considered for a promotion. And the fact that I was able with this company, as the longer that I'm here, I can grow residual income through the form of renewals. That's the thing that really drew me to choosing my company with Liberty National. And here I am 10 years later, been working here and now able, not now, well, now I'm seeing my residual income grow month after month, year after year, the more that I focus on conservations and quality. And so the third measurement of persistency is your 13th month persistency. And this really is the true measurement of building wealth for you and your family, because it's measuring how much of my hard work, effort, and energy is paying me in a renewal. So renewal, for my new people, write this down. A renewal is going to be a percentage of what is paid on a policy month 13th or more. So you start getting a renewal on policies that pay 13 month premium and beyond. And from there, that is the true wealth measurement of it. So the longer you're here, you see a lot of our directors are getting $1,000, couple of thousands a month for residual incomes and renewals as they've been here for 5 years. My new ADs, you're probably been here for 2 years, and you can start to see those renewals are growing. Year 3, it's growing. You know, if you've been here a lot longer with the company in that role, you may be here for 8 to 10 years as a director and really see that those renewals are about, you know, $3,000 a month, could be $4,000 per week. It really all depends on the length that you've been here, volume of business you write, and the quality. Because if we can get the business to the customer and we can get them to keep it, we know that it is going to pay us in renewals longer. Okay. One thing I didn't mention is on going back to the 4th month persistency, which is the second measurement of quality, that goal should be 93% or better. So what does that look like on the quality pay chart? Well, you guys can see my screen here, and you can see the bottom portion of this chart. The left side is the direct pay, right side is the bonus. Month 8 and beyond, you'll be measured on persistency. So if the goal is 93% persistency, commission account is in the positive, we're going to maximize our direct pay. Bonus side, if we're at a 93% persistency, we can actually get 120% in our bonus. Okay, and so the average right now where you're just getting like 100% bonus for persistency is an 87 to an 89. That's just 100% bonus. And as you can see, anything less, your bonus is going to drop. Your bonus drops 90, it can get down to 0% bonus if you're at an 81% or less. Okay, and yes, it also does impact direct pay. So if you're below a 77%, then you'll be getting 0 direct pay, and everything will go into the commission account, which right now as an agency, we are projected March of 25th. As an agency, which is really the average, as an agency, we are projecting to be at a 90% persistency. Whoop, whoop. This is going to be the first time in 6 months that we've been really pushing to get conservations up and get toward that 90%. And we are going to be there for March quality report. Right now we're at an 89. So we're 1 point there, but March quality report, when it generates, we're going to make it. So that I'm looking forward to and seeing that happen. So guys, the purpose again, why we go over this and understanding how it impacts your pay is because yes, it can negatively impact you depending on where you're at on the scale. But if you take what we're about to go deeper into and really apply it into the systems that your directors and supervisors are training you on, then where you're going to be able to see is the fruit of that and paying you guys more in bonus. If you're on persistency, you can actually get 130% on persistency. DCN, you can get up to 120%. So the purpose of this is just as ways in which you can make more money, okay? So now, those reports do generate on the 25th of every month. So that 25th report is going to come out next week. You guys will see some emails come out from me. And then the following training week that we have, we'll go a little bit deeper into how to read those reports and how to have best practices when you guys are out there in the field closing and enrolling that impacts those reports. Right now, just us going over the overview for DCN and persistency is understanding the terminology and letting you guys see how it can impact your pay for you and your families. So the goal is to maximize it. The goal is to maximize it. So I know not the majority, all of you guys here are Worksite representatives. The individual market is not with us right now, and I'm trying to get to my next section of my PowerPoint. So the individual market, all of you guys are Worksite. 90% of our production comes from Worksite. Woo, woo. So we know it works. We're going to stick to it. So in the Worksite market, there are several points in time where quality does matter, and there's several questions we ask. I promise you, y'all can probably look around and see, raise your hand if you've gotten a phone call from me, a text message from me, a three-way call with me, your AD, just having questions, concerns, some things that are red flags. And guys, I promise you that is nothing but love, because my job, Brian has hired me and invested in me to be able to oversee the quality of business to ensure, not him, but that you all are making more money, and to make sure that quality does not negatively or hurt your pay, but that it makes you more money in the long run. That focusing on quality builds wealth for you and your families, puts more money into your pockets. And so, have hard conversations with people. And at the end of the day, we have the same goal. That's for you guys to make more money and for me to ensure you're making more money. My paycheck is the same every month. I don't get paid commissions at all, but it is for you. Okay. And so when it comes to the Worksite market, Dara Boatwright, she, like I said, is the agency director in Valdosta. In 2022, her and her entire team Boatwright, did $440,000 worth of annual premium. Right now, she's got 3 supervising agents, and there's certain points throughout this training that she's going to be helped chime in on to kind of give the field perspective. I've been out of the field for 4 years now since I had my youngin. And so, I like to be able to give you guys a fresh perspective. And so she is going to be helping, and she is going to be our guest speaker today. And so thank you, Dara, for being on with us. I want to make sure that I can hear you and you are unmuted. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, Angela.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dara, for joining us and taking time to give everybody else, some of the experiences that you've gone through, and just kind of giving us that perspective that you live day in and day out. And guys, she's went from the agent role to the SA role to the AD role in 4 years. And I think her 4th year she just hit her 4th year with Liberty National, and she is killing it. And so I'm super proud of her. And the one thing that I've just noticed and why I chose her to be my guest speaker is because in just that short period of time, she's really adopted the quality conversations. And they haven't just been conversations, but it's actually been a culture that she's established for her and her team. And so a culture is what I'm striving to aim for, because if we have a quality culture, then we have less problems, okay? And so for beginning with quality, and where it starts is really better prospecting. When it comes to prospecting, guys, there are several industries that are approval required industries, or some that are ineligible, or some that aren't even on any of these lists. And so, you think, why would there be industries that are ineligible, or industries that have requirements to get approval for, like a 1-year rule? Well, the reason for those specific industries is that they have poor quality business. They have higher turnover. Sometimes they have inability to pay. They don't have enough people in place to be able to manage something like payroll deductions or paying an invoice. And so these guidelines are in the Worksite guide that's in agent services. You guys have access to these lists, okay? But as far as, just to give you guys a couple of examples, like ineligible, just stay away from. You have some of these industries like your bars, your liquor stores, your tattoo parlors. These are ineligible, that even if you were to send up the home office, they're going to straight out decline it. Daycares, home health agencies. And it is, again, I worked for home office, so we actually pulled all home health agencies, daycares, and we ran quality numbers on them, guys. And their average of quality numbers for the premium that was written, 60% of it came back DCN, 60%. And persistency was even worse. 50% was the persistency on these ineligible industries. So we have the data to be able to put these industries on here to protect you guys. So there's what's called ineligible industries, and then there's what's approval required, which means that they just have a 1-year rule. They don't have the average 6-month rule. So you have restaurants, that's the typical one that we see, or trucking companies. Those are 1-year eligibility rules, because we have those in place to ensure that the employees are there long enough to where if you go to write them business and you get paid on it, that commissions is going to pay you out in renewals in the long run. So Dara, from your perspective, I know, you guys are, push activity, prospecting. Now, when it comes to quality industries, how do you really apply that to better prospecting in the field?
So as you said before, Angela, time is money. And so, maximizing your time. So it starts with that pack call, of course, and having quality stops on your route. So you want to make sure that, to maximize your time in the field, that you're not wasting your time walking into, a bunch of ineligible businesses. So, you're feeling pretty good about your 30 stops only to check a box because you haven't, maximized your ability to close a case because we walked into some ineligible industries. So making sure that you're familiar with these industries and what is eligible and ineligible, and making sure that you have those stops either on or off of your route so that you can maximize that time in the field.
Awesome. Yes. And I like how she said it really starts with your pack calling, guys, because when you're in office and you are making those pack calls, you have the capability to see the type of industry and what it is. And so from there, that really opens the door to being able to, okay, is this an ineligible? Okay, nope, let me go ahead and remove it from my list. So being able to identify that when you're in office making those calls is really the first line of defense in catching that. So you're not wasting your time running a route, in that area, and then you find it on there and you're like, man, I should have caught this. You just don't want to be wasting your time. So from there, that's really better prospecting, quality prospecting, as you can say. And so, let's say we've gone through the entire process of prospecting. We've walked into a really good business. Let's say it's a plumbing company or a roofing company. We walk in, we get past the gatekeeper, and now we're about to set an appointment with the decision maker. So Dara, question for you. How do you make sure that the appointment you're setting is with the decision maker or decision makers involved?
So really you have two different types of setting those appointments. So either we're doing an on-the-spot presentation, so we've pack called the business, we know who our decision maker is. You may not necessarily know that there's more than one person that would be involved in that decision-making process at the time. So, we go in, we meet with the person that we've clarified on our pack call. And so maybe they say we have some time today. So on the spot right now. So I just want to make sure, before we move forward, that I'm pulling out that benefits fact sheet to make sure that this person is in fact the only decision maker for benefits. So really this is the importance of that benefits fact sheet, to make sure that you are getting in front of every person that would be involved in making this decision. So if I'm on the spot and he says, yeah, I have some time today, he or she, then at that point, I would want to make sure and just clarify, now, would you be the only person involved in this process? If that's a no, actually my partner, then is there an opportunity for us to meet with him as well, just to make sure that I have everybody on board at that time. Again, maximizing our time. Time is money. If we're presenting to that one person, without the other people that would be involved in that process, then I'm one, running a risk of obviously not being able to close the case then, or two, with him or her saying, I need to pass this information along to my partner, then we're also running a risk of that partner not getting all of the facts, the entire version. They're getting a shortened version, because they're obviously not going to translate everything that we said in our presentation. So just maximizing your time and making sure that when you do have that on the spot presentation, that everybody is involved in it, that would make that decision. And then of course, actually setting an appointment that we're actually going to come back to either same day or another day. At that time, I want to make sure that when I set that appointment, that again, I have all parties involved, everybody that would be, their time is valuable, my time is valuable, just to make sure your time is valuable, just to make sure that everybody maximizes on the opportunity and we don't lose that opportunity when we're allowing one partner to present to another partner. I just had this example. I just had this happen this week. Actually, a new agent set an appointment. We went in and presented the benefits fact sheet, only to learn that, that was not the only decision maker. And those other two decision makers were not available at that time. So, we kind of wasted some of his time, some of our time, by not doing our due diligence, when setting the appointment to ensure that we had all parties involved.
Awesome. Yeah, guys. And I really like what she said. There's those two different scenarios: presentation on the spot and presentation after the appointment. And in the example that just happened this week, she didn't go through the presentation. We clarified to make sure and set a better time where all decision makers are going to be available. So that way, when you have everybody on board, right, then that you're going to get less pushback once you continue on throughout the process. So guys, I want to make sure we're getting ready to dive in some really good stuff in regards to the Worksite process and Worksite approval paperwork. I want everybody to please pay really close attention, because these are areas where we see reasons why we lose cases. We don't lose them often because my line of questioning is very tight. Once I get Section 125 paperwork, I question stuff, and sometimes it really ticks people off. And again, I don't do it to make you mad. I do it because I want to make sure once you go in and enroll, and after the fact you get paid, you and your upline, that it is going to benefit you and pay you more in the long run. And so I want everyone to pay attention to, as Dara and I go through this process, different things that she says. Take a lot of notes, because these are ways that she has prevented lost cases. So, and so from here, Dara, in the Worksite process, before you get to the 125 paperwork, you go through, let's say you've gone through the presentation, with all DMs, all people that would be involved, and now you overcome their objections, answer any questions they have. All right, well, they're ready to get started. How do you transition from that to the Section 125 paperwork?
So of course we've presented our closing statement, overcoming the objections, and then we move into I have some time. So I actually start on the employee engagement page, which is the last page. I actually start here. So I have some time available, Wednesday, June the 8th. So we have that. Depending on what industry you're working with, you already kind of know whether this is going to be an early morning, a safety meeting type deal, or a lunch if it's a doctor's office. So depending on what type of industry, you already kind of know what time to start with. So, and bring that breakfast or that lunch. So we nail down that time and that date. And then another big thing on this page is I want to know who my contact is going to be that day to set up that enrollment properly. Because what we don't want to do, again, I always say it, time is money. And so we want to maximize that time. We don't want to spend an entire day at an enrollment trying to see 10 people. So we want to make sure that that person, the day of that I'm going to contact that day, may not be that decision maker that I'm speaking with, may not be the payroll lady that I'm speaking with. It may be the warehouse manager that's going to be in charge of sending them to me, so that I can ensure that we're maximizing our time. So that's the main parts of, I start at the employee engagement process, and then making sure that I get the initials by all decision makers. If there's not just one, I want to make sure that all decision makers are on board.
Awesome. Now that's, perfect world right then and there. They're on board. They've got some time, June 8th, Wednesday. If you run into, decision maker says, yeah, I love it. I like it. I definitely want to be able to provide this to my employees. I'm going to need to figure out when's going to be a good time for me to be able to do that with all my employees. So I'll have to get back to you. What's a great way to be able to have a rebuttal to go ahead and try to get a enrollment set before you even leave there?
Okay, so maybe like a couple of things that you could do. I mean, if you've already established that Sally, the store manager, is going to be the person bringing them to us, or sending them to us rather. So, maybe it's an opportunity for you to say, so Mr. DM, can I meet with, would you introduce me to Sally? And then maybe I can speak with her and kind of go over the process. And then she can kind of give me a good day that maybe you guys aren't as busy on the floor, or, so forth, so on. Or maybe an example, again, is always good, that safety meeting, or, any kind of group meeting that they may have. Okay, so Mr. DM, do you guys actually come in for a meeting each week, or do you have a safety meeting first thing in the mornings, just to try to overcome whatever obstacle that they throw at you? Another example would be, maybe they come in for their paychecks, on Thursday afternoon, so we could kind of be there when they're starting to filter in from the field. And so just being able to think outside the box and overcome whatever objection they're giving you. And it may be that if you get another person involved that's going to be bringing them to you, then they can shed some light right in front of the decision maker on the spot. Well, listen, Wednesdays are pretty slow, so, and just making sure that you nail down that date before you leave.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yes. And that is how you really properly get an enrollment date set right before you leave there. And so that's awesome. Awesome feedback for us. Thank you. Now, when you transition from employee engagement to now payroll deduction agreements, this payroll deduction agreement really just is ensuring that they're going to be payroll deducting and taking those payroll deductions and sending them to Liberty National for those premiums. So, Dara, I know you already addressed, in the benefits fact sheet, you're already addressing all the decision makers that are involved in this process. Now, how do you review this payroll deduction agreement once you transition from that previous page?
Okay, so, of course, our closing statement says the only thing that we ask of them is that they will allow them to participate through payroll deduction. So when I flip to this page, I read that fourth paragraph there that says that the employer assumes no responsibility for the payroll deduction after termination of an employee, just to kind of reassure them that they are not responsible for this premium, just payroll deducting, that's all that we're going to ask of them. And then again, just to ensure that I have every signature of any person that is involved in this process. And in fact, sometimes I've had, it may be that we have one owner that he values, he's had a payroll lady or assistant that's been with him for, 20 years. So he values her opinion, and she could really impact the decision made to move forward. So actually having her involved in that process and making her feel involved by putting her signature on this paper as well, just kind of continues to solidify moving forward that, we won't have any problems.
Yes, and that's actually the first wet signature that we get from the decision maker. And the second one is on the application for group term. And that really just is saying that this is going to be, you guys are going to have the master group term plan for the employees to be able to purchase life insurance group term rate. That's where they sign for this next wet signature. And now, Dara, so we've got two pages that have the first one had initials, the employee engagement, setting the enrollment. Second one was the payroll deduction agreement, got their signatures. Third was the group term application. And next is the employee roster. So, you know, I know sometimes we have challenges. Some people have challenges. They get the enrollment sent, they get it all done, and then boom, they run into a hurdle into getting an employee roster. So what are best practices, how you transition from that last signature into getting that roster, so that way you have all what you need by the time you leave out of the business?
Yeah. So wrapping up, I just, I ask them to provide me with an employee roster with hire dates. And typically I do run in most of the time that it's not in fact that decision maker that I'm speaking with that's going to provide me with that information. It's, his assistant, the payroll lady or whomever. So I always ask, can you introduce me to her? That gets a conversation with her to kind of recap the process. Of course, when I went through my benefits fact sheet, I've now determined who's going to enter deductions, who's going to process deductions, who's going to make the payment. So that gives me an opportunity to get in front of that person that's going to provide me with this information. The DM is busy, so they're ready to get back to business. And so then they kind of pass the buck to that person. And then it allows me to kind of recap the process with that individual. And also to clarify their role, just to kind of go through it. We're going to be offering some benefits. I understand that you will be the person entering deductions. I understand that you will be the person that is going to process the payment, just to kind of reiterate their role. And then at that time, obviously get the information that I need with the employee roster.
Yes. And guys, this employee roster is huge. I want to be able to address something, because I noticed with employee rosters, there are some times where I'm getting employee rosters where they just have 5 employees, which is the home office requirement, is to have 5 employees eligible on a roster. Guys, again, time is money. So we are showing you right now best practices, how to maximize your time, create less work for yourself, and maximize your paycheck. So if you right now are not getting entire rosters and are only getting 5 employees just to get out of that business, then that is not the best practice. Because now, guess what you have to do? You have to go back and you have to get an updated roster, and you have to get everybody's additional names. You have to get everybody's hire dates. You have to get them to re-sign a roster. That is extra work you're having to do. Why do that to yourself? We're already busy enough as it is and behind on work, right? So do it right the first time and do it the right way. So get everybody's names, get everybody's hire dates, and let's make sure they're accurate hire dates. Make sure we have to verify. Let's address this with the bookkeeper or whoever we're getting that roster from. I definitely need a roster, employees' names, their hire dates, and all W-2 employees that work 28 hours or more. Okay, so the employees on there, are they W-2 and do they work 28 hours or more? You want to verify that when she prints that out and gives it to you. Okay, I just want to make sure these employees are all W-2 and work 28 hours or more on average a week. Okay, this roster has to have a letterhead, everything has to be typed, and it has to have a wet signature on the roster. Okay, so that is the employee roster as the last requirement that I look at. And sometimes, guys, when I'm looking at this stuff, if it is a family business, please be extra thorough in the field underwriting process, which we'll go over in the upcoming trainings. But this specific, I will ask questions and I will call just to make sure, that we understand that on the employee roster, if there are last names that are all the same, I will have that conversation with you guys just to make sure that because what happens is if they're a family business and we write somebody and they get rated and they don't like how their policy issued, we have lost accounts before in the past. So when they're close-knit business like that, you have to be very, very careful and make sure that quality service is equal to every single person, and field underwriting is tight in the process. Okay. And so I know that we do have several accounts that are 10 employees or less. And guys, just because it's 10 employees or less, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I've had a conversation with an essay recently where, she just had some questions. What can I do to prevent, some of these conversations that we have? Well, a lot of your smaller businesses, you are going to have to handhold. And I'm not saying if it's 10 employees or less, don't write them. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is we need to be asking these questions. Does the business have a bookkeeper, an accountant? If not, who writes the check? If the business is doing any other deductions, or will ours be the first? And is it all family members? So these are kind of questions you want to ask yourself as you're going through and closing a smaller case. to make sure that this is going to be a legitimate business that is going to maximize your pay and not waste any of your time. Hey, I did have a thought process that I want to go back to on this roster deal. Another thing, if you guys get full rosters at the time of closing 125 paperwork, if you guys have a re-enrollment, schedule a re-enrollment, and you're scheduling that in person, or right before you get in there, she knows she's Miss Bookkeeper, I know we have this enrollment once every single year. Can you please have a full roster for me with all your names and hire dates of your employees? So that way we know all the employees that we're giving the opportunity to is going to be to everybody. And so if you do that, now you know every single person you need to see at that enrollment. You are not missing a single employee, because that is how you maximize and make sure you see everybody and maximize your paycheck at that enrollment. Okay, I just wanted to put that little tidbit out there. All right, guys. So reviewing the paperwork here now is where we get into the meat of like the admin side and stuff that I look for. And so, guys, I just want you guys to realize everything that Dara just explained, the process that she just went over and how she went over it, going through the benefits fact sheet. She already addressed question number 1. So everybody, please flip over your quality pay chart or your little notepad you have to the side, pick your pen up, and I want all 3 of these questions written down, please. Because if you have done what Dara had just done, all 3 of these questions have and will be answered by the time you're getting the roster. 1 is, who is the owners, decision makers, AKA, okay? She already asked that at the benefits fact sheet. Question number 2, who will enter the employee deductions into payroll? She asked that on the benefits fact sheet. And then she also asked that after the presentation, right? When she was going through and getting the signatures of doing the payroll deductions and making sure those payroll deductions are remitted to Liberty National. She asked that a second time. And then 3, who's going to be paying the invoice every month, which is where she asks also was that first signature on payroll deduction authorization agreement. So now that they're going to be payroll deducted, we see Miss Sally's going to be doing the payroll deductions. Who's going to be paying the invoice every single month? Okay, is that going to be Miss Sally? Also, awesome, great. Making your life and your job easier. So those 3 questions she's already verified throughout the entire process of her getting the signatures. Okay, so those are the 3 questions. Moving on, in the second, this is actually now when you get Section 125 paperwork, this is like the actual order that it's in. I know Dara did not go through it in the order that it's printed in, but guys, just because it's in a specific order, in the way it's printed or how it's on your iPad or tablet does not necessarily mean that that's the best and most effective way to do it. And just having conversation with Dara, I love how she started with the engagement process first. She got the enrollment set. And then from there, got all the information in the wet signature. So on here, in this specific example, guys, you do see in red, there are 3 different, this is a new billing information sheet, the second page, and there are 3 people involved. There's an employer, decision maker, John Smith. Bookkeeper, payroll admin is Becky Smith. Sounds like husband and wife to me. And then third is a payroll company. So to me, it sounds like there's several cooks in the kitchen, and I need to be certain that once I start this process, I can clarify every single person's role. So Dara, in your experience, when you found that there is a third-party payroll, how or what level do you expect your team to take when there is a third-party payroll involved?
So from previous experience, we have learned that we are going to do our due diligence with a payroll company. We've learned the hard way on that. So the expectation is that I want to make sure that I know who the contact is at that accounting firm. So they use Harrison Accounting in this example. So my next question is going to be, so who is actually, do you work closely with just one, accountant process your payroll? So if so, I want to have that person's name and contact information. If at all possible, I try to get the decision maker I try to get them on the phone then before I leave, because in some situations we've came across the payroll company or the CPA will not speak with us unless they have been given, authorization to do so. So, by being right there in front of the decision maker, hey, Miss Jennifer, I'm here with Mr. John Smith, with ABC Roofing. We're going to be implementing some benefits with their company. I understand that you do process their payroll, correct? And then I just want to confirm that there's not going to be any issue moving forward processing those deductions for our company. And also, I want to make sure that she doesn't need any additional documentation. I've had a payroll company require additional documentation to be signed at the time of sale to authorize the payroll deduction. Our salary redirection that they signed wasn't sufficient. It wasn't a binding contract between the employee and the accountant, or payroll company rather. So just to make sure that I have all of the T's crossed, the I's dotted, and that I have all of the information that I need, any requirements that they may have in order to process deduction, just so we can ensure that there's no delay.
Awesome. I love it. I love that it has gone and taken to the next step. And so, guys, she actually had toward the end of 2022 a large account, man, and I'm sure it was a large paycheck for the agent and the AD involved. $25,000 worth of business, 3 different locations, and came back, and we lost the entire account because of this specific step in the process. So not only was it a learning lesson, an opportunity for her and her team, but it was also for me as a quality manager. So if you guys notice now that my line of questioning on 125 paperwork, did you contact the payroll company and the accountant? If you yourself have not done so, I will not release any applications. So you having a conversation with the decision maker to tell you, yep, they'll do the payroll, they'll be fine, that's not enough. The expectation is you verbally or I verbally have spoken with the payroll company or accountant to verify that they will start the payroll deductions in the deduction period, and that there won't be any hurdles or anything that we need to be able to deliver to them in order for them to do so. So from there, I just want to make sure that is now an expectation moving forward for everybody in the office, because I don't ever want anybody to lose a $25,000 account ever again. Sorry it happened to Dara, but also at the same time, thank you for allowing us to learn as an agency from something that had happened to you, and now we can apply it to the best practices toward everybody else so it doesn't impact their pay. Okay.
Absolutely.
So for the sake of time, guys, on here, I know that there's billing that I was going to go over. I know we had a late start because we had some issues in Jacksonville. I was trying to delay for and start, but I did also promise that I wanted to make sure I get you guys out of here in a timely manner. So we are going to have another training again next Friday. I'm not closing yet, but I'm actually going to save the billing part for the next training that we do have. Okay, I definitely do want to save billing and the second portion of that billing part for the next training, because that really is huge in understanding everybody's how, or the line of questioning that we use when we get to this section of the 125 paperwork, how it can actually impact their invoicing, not just payroll deductions and the amounts that are quoted to them, but also how it impacts their invoice. Okay, so that will be covered, and I'm gonna save this for next Friday. So for the sake of time, because I really want to get to the end and give Dara the opportunity to be able to talk a little bit, and you guys ask her some questions. So guys, I want to recap everything that we went over. When it comes to the beginning of this entire process, there are reasons why worksite cases do not pay their first bill. Yes, was the one instance from that Dara just gave. And again, we just are losing now one recently where bookkeeper also, she's not on board with the deductions. We also have lost a $10,000 one in the past where the wife signed the paperwork and husband wasn't there. She said, oh, I'm the decision maker. I make the decisions for everything. Great. Let's get this process started. $10,000 account. Everybody got paid. Boom. Husband is the one that cuts the checks. Well, when he got his first invoice, what is this? I'm not signing this. Nobody asked me anything. Okay, you can cancel it and forget it because y'all didn't ask me. I didn't approve nothing. My wife did all that, and so boom, we lost a $10,000 account. So getting husband and wife on board. We just had a recent scenario where there's a bookkeeper, owner, payroll company. They're willing to do the deductions. Bookkeeper was out, had cancer, or something was going on, and I got confirmation that we had gotten everybody confirmed. Bookkeeper was confirmed, she's good to go with everything. We just enrolled. Boom, we're now going to lose a $7,000 account. So it's these instances where there's poor communication and poor inspection, because we've gotten the information, but we haven't taken the time, the extra 5 minutes, to make sure that we've properly communicated this entire process with everybody that's going to be involved in it. Not just the decision maker, guys, because sometimes the DM will say yes, leave it to my office manager, give it to her, and guess what she does? She is overworked, underpaid, aggravated, bitter, probably just got through a divorce, and just angry and going through a season of life. And she will make your life a living, you know what, won't start deductions, sabotage the process, won't pay the bill. So you have to make sure you have all parties involved. And when we don't do things like that, we cause ourselves to lose cases in those examples that I just gave. Okay. And so, Dara, a couple questions. I just have two really big questions for you. Okay. Now, right now, I know I said 4 years, you went from an agent to an SA to an agency director. In just that time frame, short time frame, how has your quality of focus shifted in each level of your career track?
So as an agent, you hear about quality, you don't really understand, what's kind of going on. And so I think that we've tried to start quality training from, day one with new agents. Agents have training on conservations, and agents have alarms set in their phones to check ICM on Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. to, start calling, get a head start on calling any chargebacks. So, as an agent, it's just you're responsible for yourself. But moving into an SA role, now you realize that it's not just your business that you're writing that impacts your pay, but your teams. So you want to make sure that you're keeping training at the forefront to make sure that they're writing conservative business, not overriding, you're not writing high premiums, making sure that all the boxes are checked. And then, of course, moving into an AD role, it becomes, all consuming with quality. We have multiple quality calls, you and I conversations, and just making sure that we can maximize. We promise them an opportunity of a lifetime, and just making sure that we can help maximize their pay by doing our due diligence on our part and keeping quality at the forefront.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And I know one of the comments I remember Dara saying before in the past was, at the AD level, I think the biggest mistake is that we do a lot of the things for the agents for them because of their lack of knowledge, or, just maybe not being able to do it the way you do it, Dara. I know you're very good at what you do, and you know that nobody can do it better than you, right? But that's the downfall, is not being able to transfer that skill to that agent and to that SA to ensure that they're with you through quality inspections, quality conversations, and so forth. And so I think that was also another good point that you had made in you and I having previous conversations. So my next question for you, I know everybody in the room that has been here at least 6 months or more, everybody has gone through a quality problem. I've been through one as an agent. And so I know everybody at some point has gone through a quality challenge. Can you share a testimony of a quality challenge you experienced and how it impacted your entire agent, that upline, and just how it impacted recognition and certain things that took place that recognize you guys in your performance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anybody can learn from, the challenges that we faced, end of the year, we worked really hard. Like I said, we always keep quality at the forefront. We've had, phenomenal quality all year. And then, we have situation where, at the end of the year, we multiple conversations about writing conservative business, writing quality business, not overriding. And Angela, you do your part fabulously, calling and ensuring that they're okay with that deduction, they're okay with that premium. And we may do all of the things, check all of the boxes, and it can still come back to bite us, and so right there at the end of the year, we took a hit, and ultimately boiled down to not writing conservative business previous to that and not being able to conserve it. It just wasn't affordable. And so we lost a lot. We took a big hit, and that ultimately resulted in, qualifications for convention. Had an SA on in the Leaders Club that's now not going to have that recognition after, a year of hard work. So that's frustrating, but we also use it as a training experience. So we know what the mistakes that were made, and we know moving forward what we have to keep at the forefront and continue to train on, and so that we learn from that mistake and we don't have this happen to us again in the future.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for that and sharing that, because I know a lot of times when people are going through quality challenges, they feel like they are the only one. You feel like you're just on your little island and nobody's there to help you and nobody's there to take time to help you get out of the quality hole. Guys, I promise, if you're having a quality challenge, you know you can schedule time with me and we can go over it and I'll go through training. I'll do deep dives with you. I'll pull out them spreadsheets that I email you guys that you probably don't open, and I will go line item by line item to make sure that we are exhausting every effort to maximize on these numbers. And in the scenario where she lost a $25,000 account, guys, in this top chart of DCN, her DCN as a team was above and beyond exceeding company average the entire year. And boom, at the very end, well, December's was good, but January and February, you could see how just losing one large account, how that drastically impacted her DCN. And for the 4-month persistency, guys, again, above and beyond a 90% or more the entire year. And then once the overselling started to take place on a specific side, again, her and I had calls with these people. Brian got on the phone and had calls with these people. I call the individual customers. I can do every quality inspection, but once I release it and it goes to home office, it is now going to either help your quality or it can hurt it. And so, I try to warn, I try to have the red flag conversations, but at the end of the day, it is your decision to write the business, and I can only do my part. And then from there, she said they had a hard time conserving the business because it was too high of premiums. And again, every single month, you can see it was above and beyond. And just December that ended, that was a month that actually pulls all recognition and all quality to measure for the year, is where it's a dumb rule. It is, but it did happen. And so from that, I want you guys to see just in these two instances is no at all recollection or reflection of the quality culture that she's had and sustained the entire year. Just in these two instances, just a little bump in the road, and it does take about 3 months to get out of that quality hole, and then you start to see those numbers trend back again. Okay, Dara, thank you so much for your time. And anybody, now is the time to open up, unmute your phones if you guys have any questions for Dara, questions for me on just overall what we went over, anything from her as an AD or when she was an SA at all that we can help. Then you guys have the mic and we'll be able to answer and address those for you guys. So what questions, thoughts do you guys have?
Jesus, Jessica.
She did that on purpose.
On one, other than Jessica Scurry, please.
Hey, Angela, can I add one thing? Angela, can I add one?
Yeah, you can.
So listen, my SA come to me with this today, and I think it is brilliant. Guys, don't wait until your quality is bad to start working on it. Okay, be proactive, not reactive. Make sure that you're writing conservative business, make sure that you're servicing those clients, making sure that you're staying on top of placing your CODs, getting your quality assurance calls completed, just so that you can maximize your pay. Quality can affect you negatively, but it can also affect you positively. Up to 130% bonus. So just make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and servicing properly.
Yes, I say thank you for mentioning that, because I didn't even get to that point, and I know I'm trying to look at time. And yes, I don't want to scare and put the fear in you guys, but as you can see, she's been on 4-month persistency for the last year, and her pay has been maximized in the last year, other than December, where the company was paying her more. She got up to 115% bonus by just having good quality. 115% bonus. What company do you know is going to pay you more by doing what you're already doing, but just with quality service? Okay. So again, yes, quality can negatively impact you, but more than anything, it can help bring home more money for you and your family, because that is really what we want to do for you all. Okay. So guys, thank you for your time. This is going to be recorded. I'm going to email it out. I hope everybody has and is going to have an awesome weekend. Look forward to speaking with y'all the Friday after next. Take care. Bye-bye.
Jessica Scurry is the funniest person in the world.
Well, it'd be nice to know what was happening.
Just her in general. She's like that.